I surrender to the Almighty my mind, speech, and body. Vanakkam. A quick recap. Tirukkural is one of the important books given by our Tamil ancestors. It gives a way for humans to align their lives to the natural order found in nature. In the last session, we saw what is the Varnashrama Dharmam. Varnam is the role played by an individual in the society, and ashram refers to the personal role. 4 personal roles were identified. Brahmacharyam is the learning phase, and Grihastham is the phase in our life where we raise a family. Vanaprastham is the retirement phase, and Sannyasam is the time to let go of attachments. I had explained that Brahmacharyam is the training phase for the Grihastham and Vanaprastham is the training phase for the Sannyasam. So, Tirukkural talks about the aram for the 2 ashrams, which is the Grihastham and the Sannyasam. The aram for the Grihastham is called as Illaram in Tamil. Tirukkural says that Illaram is one of the ways for a human being to grow and mature in the path of love and finally reach God. What growth and what maturity! So much drama is happening in this family life. There's hardly any time for God. How to reach God from raising a family? I will explain that today. Suppose if I ask you, who is the most important person in your life? What would you say? Your kids? Your partner? Your parents? None of that is true. We are all interested only in our own self. Why do I say that? When we look at our family photos, who do we look for first? We naturally search only for us, don't we? Only then we look for our family members. Whether it is a family photo or a photo with a group of friends, our eyes automatically search only for us first. We all begin our life's journey with that kind of self-interest. That is natural. We can see this in our homes too. When there is good food prepared in the home and the family sits to eat, children will fill their plates first with their favorite food. Most kids wouldn't care whether there's enough left for the rest of the family. And we were all like that when we were kids too. We grabbed the best things before anyone could take it. That is where we start our journey. We are most interested in our own self. But when we grow up and meet someone special, things change, don't they? We automatically take a piece of our favorite things and give it to him or her and make them happy. We learn to give. The heart that didn't care about anybody else other than the own self now begins to take note of the well-being of another life. This is automatic. Nobody forces us to do this. This willingness to care is a sign of love. The Uyir or the intelligence inside us has grown a little. Now, when the couple gets married and they give birth to babies, the change that takes place in the self reaches a new level. Between couples, there's always give and take. The man makes the woman happy and vice versa. And so we can say that this mutual give and take makes each person like the other one a little more. So it may look like the love is conditional. But when it comes to their baby, both parents put the happiness of the little one in front of their own. The child does nothing in return. It kicks, cries, pees, and such a lot of work. But we see that parents bend backwards to keep the little ones happy. Even though bringing up a child is tough and demanding, parents do it with a lot of love. So now our love is taken to another level where we learn to give without expecting anything in return. The Uyir is said to have grown or matured a little more. So the Tamil people viewed marriage and raising a family as one of the ways that allowed humans to grow. The goal of marriage is not procreation or physical pleasure, but it is to allow the Uyir to grow. not just the physical growth, but growth in the mental or the emotional dimension. It allows the love that is directed at the self to be directed outwards to another uyir, someone other than the self. So now with a partner and kids, the love has started to grow outwards. But the journey doesn't end here. Now as a family continue to love and care for each other, they are quite happy, and now they begin to invite their friends to the home as guests. So this way, the love extends to people outside their families, and the circle gets a little wider. Now coming to the book Thirukkural, if you can recall, there are three big sections called Pal, smaller sections called Iyal, and smaller chapters called Adhigarams. In the Arathapal, which is the first big section, we have the first Iyal, which is the introduction. We will come to that later. The second Iyal is called as Illaraviyal. Illaraviyal, and this section talks about Illaram, which is the Aram for the Grihastham phase. The order in which the chapters are placed in Illaraviyal gives a beautiful message about the journey of our Uyir. So now I will give the rationale behind the placement of the chapters in Illaraviyal. I will explain how the Illaraviyal is set up. The first chapter or Adhigaram in Illaraviyal is called Ilvazhkai in Tamil, which can be translated to married life. Here Thiruvalluvar talks about why we enter into a marriage, what are the benefits, what are the responsibilities of the couple. He says that the goal of life itself is to learn to love. In Tamil, the word for love is Anbu. Anbu. Anbu is love that is shown towards the people known to us. The final destination of our Uyir seems to be extending the love for all living and non-living things in creation. In Tamil, that kind of love is called as Arul. Arul. Arul refers to the love that is shown to those even unrelated to us. For example, if we are walking on the road and some random child just falls and is injured, and we immediately feel sorry for the child and run to see if she is okay as if this is our own child. That kind of care towards any life is called as Arul. The Uyir's goal is to learn Arul, or to care for all forms of life, animals, plants, insects, birds, with that kind of intensity. So Valluvar says that marriage and having children is the first step towards that larger goal. So the first chapter is about married life, and the next chapter is about life partner, and in Tamil it is called as Vazhkai Thunai Nalam, and here the roles of the husband and wife are discussed. The next chapter is called as Pudalvare Perudal in Tamil, which translates to having children, and here Valluvar talks about why anyone would want to have children, and the responsibilities of parents towards children, and the responsibilities of children towards parents. So now we have a husband and a wife and some kids, and at this point the family is beginning to settle down, and there is a sense of security for the family members. The next chapter in Thirukkural is called as Anbudaimai, or the importance of love. Here Valluvar talks about how to love and care for each other. He says that a marriage or a family without love is of no use. It's like a body without life. So now the family members have learned to love and care for each other. They are ready to extend the love to the society or to the people related to them. So the next chapter discusses one of the important aram of Tamil culture, which is receiving guests. In Tamil it is called as Virindombal. Virindombal, and it translates to receiving guests. Playing a host or caring for the guests is a big thing in Tamil culture. So here Valluvar shows the importance of guests in our lives and how to treat a guest, and also how to be a good guest in somebody else's home. So now the family has established a connection with the society. It is now necessary to maintain that relationship, and in order to maintain any relationship, it is essential to learn to use kind words in our speech. Our words have the power to heal, to make things happen, and also to hurt and destroy. So the power of speech is discussed in this chapter. We need to learn to use our power of speech in the right way. So the next chapter discusses this aram, and this chapter is called Using Pleasant Words, or in Tamil it is called Iniyavai Kooral. When the family learns to interact in this manner with the society, what happens is the circle of friends or relatives expands, and being there for each other's family becomes a part of life. We learn to be with others in sharing their joy, and also help other families with their struggles, and we also take help from other families. So the next aram is to learn to be thankful for the help received. In Tamil, this chapter is called as Sei Nandri Aridal. Sei Nandri Aridal, or we can say learning to be grateful. Now, with this large circle of people, disputes will definitely arise. Sometimes we may have to settle disputes between two of our close people. How do you decide and give judgment? Both of them may have helped us in times of need. Should we decide in favor of someone who helped us more? Or should we be fair and put all of those personal favors aside? How do we judge and give an impartial judgment? Should we give an impartial judgment in those situations? This is discussed in the next chapter called Naduvu Nilaimai in Tamil, which translates to being fair or neutral. Now a person has learned to interact with the society and learn to be a good friend and a fair judge for disputes. But there is still room to grow. Valluvar says that at the personal level, a person needs to work towards bringing the mind, speech and body under control. This is called disciplining ourselves. He says that we should learn to be the master of our sense organs and not the other way around. So the next chapter talks about control of the mind, or in Tamil it is called Adakka Mudaimai. Only when the sense organs are under our control, we can train our sense organs to do what we wanted to do. For instance, we may want to go on a diet. To do that, we need a sense of taste and smell to cooperate with us. If we keep falling for the taste of pizza or the smell of a cake, then we cannot achieve what we want to achieve. So only someone who has learned to keep his sense organs under control can dictate the tongue or the smell to not drag him to go against his wishes. So the next chapter talks about disciplining the mind. And in Tamil, the chapter is called Ozhukka Mudaimai. The next aram that is discussed is called as Piranil Vizhayamai in Tamil, and this translates to not desiring another man's wife. This is possible only for the disciplined mind. So this chapter is placed after the chapter on discipline. Here the importance of not desiring another man's wife is discussed, and the consequences of such an act are closely examined. Then, even though we try hard, we may fail and fall prey to our senses. So the virtues of patience and forgiveness are discussed next under the heading Porayudaimai in Tamil, or having patience in English. There will always be some people who cannot tolerate the happiness of others. That's called jealousy. And when we don't have enough patience, we may ruin others' life with our jealousy. So in the next chapter, the consequences of jealousy and how to deal with our own jealous feelings are discussed. In Tamil, this chapter is called Azhukkaramai. Now, Thiruvalluvar zooms into the character of a person and talks about cleansing our mind, speech and body. He addresses some specific misdeeds that are caused by way of our mind, speech and body. The misdeeds of the mind is when we allow jealousy to take over and we go to the extent of desiring to steal another's property. Whenever there is difference in the economic status of people living in a closed group, thoughts about stealing another's wealth can come up. Thiruvalluvar warns us to nip these thoughts in the bud. So he forbids not just the act but the mere idea to steal. This is discussed under the heading Vehamai in Tamil, or stealing another's wealth. Next, two misdeeds of the speech are discussed. First, there is a chapter on hypocrisy, that is talking good things about a person in the presence of the person and saying the complete opposite behind their back. And this chapter is called as Purankuramai in Tamil. Vallavar says that this is one quality that will bring the maximum disgrace to a person. The next chapter, which is also a misdeed of the speech, is called as Payanila Sollamai in Tamil, which can be translated to speaking uselessly. That is just talking without any benefit for the other person or even for the own self. Uttering words pointlessly, which is just a waste of time really. It is quite surprising that this behavior, which is not talking uselessly, is not just discussed as a decent or a cultured behavior, but it is mentioned as an aram for the Tamils. The Tamils took it as an aram itself. They say that if you are uttering some words, let it be of some use to someone, or else it is better to keep quiet. Next, the misdeeds that can be committed using the body are discussed in the chapter called Thi Vinay Acham, or fearing the misdeeds that can be committed using the body. Here Vallavar says that not only doing the deeds, even thinking about doing evil deeds can ruin relationships. Now, by avoiding these misdeeds of the mind, speech and body, one can achieve something called as the Tirikarana Sutti. Tirikarana Sutti, which means trifold purity. When this happens, a person will have the heart to give her things to the society without any inhibitions and thereby gain a lot of respect. For example, if the people of a town don't have a school and one ordinary citizen takes the initiative to build a school, then he or she will automatically gain the respect of the people of the town. So this is called as giving to the society. Such generosity always earns respect, isn't it? So the next chapter is called as taking care of the society, or in Tamil it is called Oppuravu Aridal. Now in this kind of giving, in this example that I mentioned, where a person gives his time and resources to build a school for the society, they will usually keep a board to honor the person who built it. It's a way of saying thank you to the person who helped build the school. So there's a little bit of publicity earned by the donor in this kind of giving. Vallavar says that there is a higher form of giving where you give to another person without expecting anything in return. For example, when we give a sandwich to a homeless person, nobody is going to keep a board for us and honor this. Vallavar says that this is the highest form of giving. That is when we help a single person and expect nothing in return. Such form of giving is called as Eedal in Tamil. So the next chapter talks about this kind of giving under the heading Eegai in Tamil, or giving without expecting. Vallavar says that when a person has reached this stage of giving, he will be automatically respected in the society. Such a person will have people coming to them and trusting them and be willing to help them. And such a person will have fame. Fame is inevitable for them, he says. So the next chapter talks about fame, or in Tamil it is called as Pugal. So in this manner, a person who starts his journey with marriage and kids and has followed all the arams mentioned so far, finally he or she lands in fame. And that's how Thiruvalluvar finishes the aram for the Illaram. Now I have given a very brief outline of the entire section on Illaraviyal. We will continue to explore each chapter in detail. So as you can see, we started our journey as a selfish kid who didn't care about anybody else in the world, and through this journey of married life and children and guests and discipline, we learned to care for others and we landed ourselves in inevitable fame. And this journey doesn't seem so bad. In fact, it seems doable and enjoyable too. Thirukkural goes on to say that a person who has lived his life in this manner, in this birth, has the possibility of being born as a Deva in the next birth. So in the family life, we learn to form attachments and reach fame. So now a person will feel like he or she has lived a fulfilling life. And the feeling to let go and seek higher goals will set in naturally. Valluvar says there is no need to force ourselves to give up any attachments. So the next EL is Thuravaraviyal. Here Valluvar talks about how to let go and thereby realize the nature of the self. And many new ideas like tapas and taking up austerities, also called as Vradam in Tamil, are explored. Tapas and Vradam will lead one to realizing the truth about the self. That realization is called as Mei Unarvu in Tamil. Specifically, it means having a clear knowledge about the concept of birth and liberation or Veedu. And this forms the crux of Tirukkural. That is, a person goes through Illaram and Thuravaram to attain this knowledge. And we will deal with that when we get there. In order to live like this and do all the Aram, obviously we need money. So the next Pal after Arathupal is about the ways of acquiring wealth, and this section is called as the Porutpal. And there are many chapters arranged in a logical fashion, and we will get to that after the Arathupal. Doing all the Aram could get boring. Life is also about enjoying and having fun. So the last Pal is about enjoying the pleasures of life, and it is called as the Inbattu Pal. And in summary, Illaram, that is forming the attachments, will naturally lead one to Thuravaram or letting go. Valluvar says, just get on the bus of Illaram with your partner and simply follow these Arams. Automatically you will reach fame and land on the entrance of Thuravaram. He says these things happen naturally. And from Thuravaram, the Uyir's journey continues towards self-realization and ultimately to the divine union, which we call as Veedu or Mukti. So from the selfish kid, we can reach self-realization if we walk in the path of Illaram. So the goal of Illaram or the married life is to push us in the path of love towards the divine union. Without Illaram, we cannot go to Thuravaram. And as we progress in life, the love grows, and this progression of love throughout our life is the underlying theme of the teachings of Thiruvalluvar, and that's the order in which he organizes this book. It's not the only way to find the true nature of ourself and God and all that, but it is one easy way and an enjoyable one too. For some of us, our life partner is the first place where the love begins to turn outwards. And Tirukkural shows the way to keep expanding that love to land us in fame and to Thuravu and eventually to the divine. The Tamils have lived like this beautifully, and they have documented their learnings of their journey in this small book. I will end here, and we will continue to explore these ideas in detail. Thank you for listening. Nandri Vanakkam.